I want to give everybody a really warm welcome and thank you for being here today. My name is Marianne, and most of you know me already. I am working for UNESCO ICPA, and I'm working on the GPE KICS Africa 19 Hub project. And I'm joined by some of my lovely colleagues here today. Could we do a quick round of introductions, maybe starting with my colleagues from UNESCO ICPA, and then we'll open it up to the whole room. So just take just a 30 seconds or less to introduce yourself, your name, maybe where you work, and then maybe just something interesting about yourself and maybe your connection to gender, if this is new for you or if you'd like to. So I see my colleague Camelia on camera, so please start and then we'll have Yvonne go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Hello, everyone. My name is Camelia. I just joined ICPA a little over a month ago, and I'm really happy to work with Marianne, Yvonne, and other colleagues supporting KICS 19 Hub. I work as the communications lead for the KICS 19. And my connection to gender, I'm always passionate about gender education and gender equality and girls in STEM. As I minored in math in college, so I'm really happy to be here. I'll pass it to Yvonne.
Thank you so much, Camilla. Good morning, Marianne. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yvonne Boya. I also work with UNESCO ICPA in the KICS Africa 19 Hub project as a monitoring and evaluation consultant. I look forward to learning from the team more about gender. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order and ask people to introduce themselves. So could we have, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Kasumi. I'm so sorry. Kasumi, over to you.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kasumi. I work for UNESCO ICPA, and today I'm sharing the GRP toolkit in this session. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kasumi. So I work with those lovely ladies. Could we, Hannah, are you around? Would you like to introduce yourself if you can hear us? Maybe we'll come back to Hanak a little later if he's around. Okay, so let's just go in alphabetical order. So on my screen, I see.
Hi.
Yes, John. Go ahead, John.
Yes, good afternoon from John from Sierra Leone. Happy to be here. Sorry for the delay due to the internet connectivity, but I'm very happy to be part of this meeting. Thank you. Nice seeing you all.
Nice seeing you, John. And you're such an active member of our communities of practice at KICS in general. Great to see you again. Could Anne go next? Anne Gachoya?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, all. My name is Anne Gachoya, working for the Ministry of Education, Kenya.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Next, I see Antonella, but she might be having some microphone challenges. Antonella, if your microphone's not working, yeah, she's already introduced herself in the chat box. So I'll copy paste her message again that she shared a minute ago. We see you, Antonella, and we're thanking you for coming today. Antonella's from the Luigi Gusani Institute of Higher Education in Kampala, Uganda. Most welcome. Next, I see Ephraim. Ephraim, would you like to turn your microphone and camera on, introduce yourself for a moment?
Okay. 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 Are you seeing me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ephraim Tusenja. I work for Rwanda Basic Education as a consultant. Yeah, we arrived safely in the recent symposium that happened. and then we come to our business. Thank you very much to meet you again. Thank you.
Great, Ephraim. Thank you so much. I actually saw your email about the TMIS data. I'll respond to it a little later.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Next, I see on my screen Blandina. Blandina, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Oh, hi. I'm Blandina Sutanyana from Lesotho. Right now, I'm a student teacher, but I do participate in these workshops a lot. Thank you.
So good to have a student teacher in the group. I'm a teacher, and many of us are teachers or began as teachers. So it's really nice to have your voice and perspective on things. Welcome. Next, I see Irene. Irene, quick introduction, please.
Hello. Good morning. I had some problem with the microphone, but as I wrote in the chat, I work at Luigi Institute in Kampala, Uganda, also with Antonella, we are colleagues, and I work like a support of the education specialist in the project area, education project area. Thank you.
Great, thanks for sharing. And next I see Keba. Keba, your turn.
Hello, good morning. Can you see me?
Yes, good morning.
This is Keba from the Gambia, the National Education Coalition. So I am the coordinator of IFANET, and of course, assistant educationist from the ECD to the senior secondary school, from at management level and at teacher level. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Keba. That's quite an age range there. Thank you for attending. Lucy, your turn next.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Lucy Kujo from Ghana, working with the National Teaching Council, an agency under the Ministry of Education. And I'm the assessment and examination officer. Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome. And it's great to have a member from Ghana here. I think we haven't had somebody from Ghana yet in the group, so great to have you.
Thank you.
Next, I see Makube, our very own Makube. You've been involved for a long time now. Your turn to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Makube Palengwan. I work for the Ministry of Education and Training in Lesotho in the Curriculum and Assessment Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Makube. And you'll be presenting later. If possible, later when you speak, if you can turn your camera on briefly, that'd be great. If possible, for your situation, your internet today.
Thanks, Mary.
Next, I see Matsaliso. Matsaliso, your turn. I hope I said your name correctly. I'm so sorry if I didn't. I know you told me one time how to say it. Matsaliso Adoro, are you there? Would you like to say hello to the room and quick introduction? Hello, Miss Adoro, can you hear us? I see you've unmuted yourself. Would you like to say hello? Okay, maybe we'll come back to her. Okay, next I see Mervi.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes, loudly and clearly.
Yes. My name is Mervi Hakoniemi. I'm connecting from Finland. I'm working for the Finnish National Agency for Education and currently in charge of knowledge management in Regional Teachers Initiative for Africa, which is a European Commission funded project. And so this is why I'm here. And also it's one of my all-time passions. So it's very, very an important topic for me. So delighted to be here.
Yes, indeed. You're most welcome. Thank you so much. And we'll hope to learn from you too. Nelson, you're next. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Nelson Moher, a research officer from the African Population and Health Research Center, APHRC. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're most welcome. And Pamela, you're next.
Yes, good afternoon to you all. This is Dr. Pamela Nizeyimana. I work as a manager research and consultancy from Uganda National Curriculum Development Center. I'm happy to be here.
And we're so happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, I see Petros. Petros, would you like to introduce yourself? Sorry, we can't hear you. Can you speak up a bit? It's hard to hear you, Petros, today.
Maybe a connection problem. Thank you so much, Maria and Petros from Ethiopia, Minister of Education working with teacher development, and focal person for UNESCO and SEO member. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Thanks, Petros. Yeah, Petros has been really engaged in the past. For those of you that might not know him, he works in the Ministry of Education in Ethiopia. It might be a little hard to hear him, but thank you so much for connecting, despite the challenges that you're facing today with that. So thank you. Philomen, would you like to go next quickly?
Good morning, everyone. I am Gisela Filon from Cameroon. I work in those teacher training colleges in Cameroon as a trainer and a leader of curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. And it's good to see Cameroon represented in this group today. I'm going to go a little quickly because the time is racing. Sebabatso, would you like to go next? Quick introduction, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sebabatso Ntamile. I come from Lesotho Council of NGOs. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And Seklakele?
Thank you, Marian. My name is Kelekele Hekwa. I'm from Lesotho. I work with the National Curriculum Development Center. I thank you, but I will. I'm making an apology. I will leave earlier because I have another clashing commitment. I'm writing a test somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck with that. Thanks for coming despite your schedule. Valentino, good to see you. Hello, Valentino. Dr. Zampita, would you like to say a quick hello to the group, if you're able to? Okay, we'll give him a chance to introduce himself in the chat box. I see we've had 2 new people join, so could we have an introduction from Issatau or Issatu? I'm sorry if I said it incorrectly. Would you like to introduce yourself? Issatu? Okay, maybe we'll just have, so if you haven't introduced yourself yet, could you just do so in the chat box? Let's move on with the meeting agenda for today. I see a few people that are also joining. So,
introduce myself, Marianne.
Yes,
my
hello,
name is
Peter.
Chinkumba Peter. My name is Senkumba Peter. Senkumba Peter. I'm from Uganda. I work as the National Program Coordinator with the Province of Church of Uganda. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining. Could we please have the slides up, Camelia? We're going to get started with a quick introduction to the meeting today, and then we're going to get right into the topic of gender-responsive pedagogy. Okay, thank you very much. So the first slide, please. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Today, we're going to do three things. We're going to reinforce our understanding of the definition of gender-responsive pedagogy. So that's abbreviated to GRP in a lot of literature. So we'll talk a bit about that, make sure we understand what it's all about, and we'll have a presenter from UNESCO ICPA speaking about that today, Kasumi, who you just met. Then we'll have a moment for participant-driven action and advocacy. If you took a gender-responsive action in your department this year, we would like you to come forward to share your experience. We have guests today from 2 countries, from Kenya and Lesotho, who will be sharing specifically about that. We'll give them a moment to share their work. And then beyond that, we might have time for some more of you to present your work. Then we'll give each other feedback and suggestions and maybe some strategies on action and advocacy and gender-responsive education. Next slide, please. Okay, so a quick reminder, this is a 3-part course. We've had 6 workshops last year on conceptual definitions and understandings. Then we moved on to some action plans that you enacted. You designed and enacted for yourself to implement a gender-responsive action in your departments. And we've been in module 3 since then. We've been sharing our updates, what's been challenging for us to implement gender-responsive education in our own focus groups, our own focus in our own departments. And we're going to move on now to hearing some more updates today in our plans. Sorry, I should say our implementation updates, because we're moving on from the plans now to a reflection on how it went for us earlier this year. Next slide, please. I would like to share a couple of links with you for a couple things that you might already be aware of, but that we need to reshare. So we have a link to all of the Google recordings from previous sessions. Then we have our everyone plans. Sorry, my speaker just, I think, dropped. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and then so the links here, I'll be sharing in the chat box with you. We have a folder with all of your action plans and all of your updates so far. We have a WhatsApp group that you're welcome to join if you haven't already. We have a resource pack of all the PowerPoints, recordings, and knowledge resources that have been shared so far. And we have a parking lot where you can post a question, maybe a lingering idea, a question that we can get to and answer on a parking lot or like a whiteboard page. And could we go to the next slide, please? Now, I want to give you a little challenge, a little puzzle. You're going to see a picture, and we're going to take 2 minutes, just to maybe 3 minutes, just to look at the picture and note down whatever we see. And then after 3 minutes, we will open up the group for everybody to comment on the picture. But let's just look at the picture and just observe it for 3 minutes before we jump in to say anything. So please take a moment. I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. Then we'll share some observations. I hope you can see it properly. take about 30 more seconds. Note down your observations of the picture. Who would like to raise their hand and say what you see in this picture? Please raise your hand if you'd like to comment on the picture. What do you see? What stands out to you? John?
Yeah, good afternoon all again. From this picture, what I'm saying, there are a few things I'm saying. In the first place,
Marianne?
in the first place, the sitting accommodation
Hello, Marianne?
is not appropriate. And secondly,
Hello?
I'm seeing more boys in this class than girls. And thirdly, the girls are being seated at the back or somewhere in a corner in the middle or somewhere in the corner at the corner of the classroom. So you see more of the boys in front and the girls are at the back, or they are seated in somewhere in the middle far behind. So these are the things I have seen. One, the seat accommodation is not appropriate, and also even the number of boys is high, and also the girls are at the back or somewhere in the corner of the classroom.
Okay, good eye. Anything different to say, Kappa or Ephraim, or did you have the same observations? Would you like to comment briefly if you have something different?
Yeah, exactly. Just as he said, I almost surrendered, but I consider there is no equity in this class. Equity, actually, looking at the girls, they are just left behind, and the teacher seems to concentrate more on actually the ones that are in front. And you can see that the tables, I cannot see any table behind where the girls are using. So meaning the girls are relegated. You know, they are the ones that are behind and not giving the opportunity to participate, even though there may be girls with impairment problems, like it seems, you know, or even hearing problems, but those things are not being taken into consideration by the teacher. So over, thank you.
Interesting. So literally and metaphorically behind. The girls are behind in this photo. Ephraim, anything different to say, or do you agree with what Keba and John have said? Okay, let's give a chance to.
Okay. Hello.
Is that Petros? Oh, it's Ephraim. Yes, Ephraim.
Yeah. Actually, also I have seen that there is a lack of desks, which causes then many people then are seated on one chair, but also you see that it's actually what others have seen. There is a few women, and those few women even are seated behind the others, and there is a kind of no equity, if I can say that. Thank you.
Great, Ephraim. Thank you, Petros. I know that you're on your live. Did you want to say something, Petros?
That the class is dominant of male students.
Sorry, it's really hard to hear you, Petros. So sorry. I know that you're struggling to connect right now. Can't hear you clearly.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, I see a hand up from Peter. Peter, quickly.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you very much. Just to add on what my colleagues have submitted, but I'm also seeing this teacher. I would love to say that hopefully he's not dressing appropriately for the class because these young people are seeing him as a role model. So dressing like that, coming to class, I don't think it's appropriate. Thank you. I think the rest have been
Interesting.
said by my colleagues.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So the role and the power of a teacher. Did anybody notice anything about the little mini discussion that we just had? Let's comment on the discussion we just had itself. So take a step back from the photo. Did anybody notice anything interesting about the little discussion we just had? We had, 5 people, I think, comment. Who in our group commented?
Yes, Marian. I realized
Secretary?
that only males have commented, and I'm not sure if I had any female commenting.
Yes. It can be invisible to us sometimes, how it can be so common, so natural for men to do more of the speaking. And then we only notice it really sometimes when it's women who are doing most of the speaking. How unusual if it was an all-women panel or an all-women classroom, but we're still getting used to that idea. But then if it's all male, we sometimes it's invisible to us. It seems more natural and more normal, unless we think about it and try to observe these things. There was one comment in the chat box, Kalawas Sarah or Sarah in the chat box. Did you want to say something about this picture?
Thank you. Good evening in Uganda. All I can say, when I look at the dressing code, it looks like a classroom, but they are not in a uniform. It shows a poverty-stricken environment when you look at the shoes and what they are putting on, though they seem to be attentive and they are interested in whatever they are listening to or studying. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we had one voice from a woman in the group, and then the rest of us, we had some voices from men sharing observations. And overall, it looks like we're noticing the gender gap, the gender divide. The girls are left behind, literally, and also figuratively in the back of the room and also behind in the education system. You also notice the poverty, the children's uniforms, maybe the lack of inclusion and the lack of resources in the school. Cyclically, we're going to have to move on from the picture, but you can type in the chat box. I want to go to the next slide, see the caption for this picture. Let's see if you can predict the caption. So next slide, please. So it says, without teacher intervention, girls often avoid sitting in the front of the classroom. So someone commented on the role of the teacher, maybe being a role model to the students. A teacher can do an awful lot. A teacher can perpetuate gender biases and gender gaps, or can mitigate them and call on the girls as often or even more often than the boys, which would be equitable. Remember that equity is different from equality. Equality would be giving the girls and boys maybe the exact same resources and the chances to intervene. But then equity, in this case, might be giving the girls a little bit more because they've been behind for a while. There's a comment in the chat box wondering if we notice that the teacher is a male and therefore the male students are in the front. Interesting. There's some really interesting research on the role of female or male teachers and school heads. There's been some research by UNICEF, the Data Must Speak project, that shows that when women lead schools, women as school leaders, everybody tends to do a little bit better academically. So maybe there's something to be said here about the role of the male or the female teacher. There's obviously a lot going on in this picture, and I hope that you're now thinking about it. I'd like us to keep these ideas in mind as we go into our presentation right now. We're gonna talk about these issues a bit in terms of gender responsive pedagogy. So I'd like to call on my colleague, Kasumi, if you're ready. Could you, we're going to go to your slides now.
Nadia?
Kasumi, yes, is that Petros? Petros, we're going to just take a
this
second.
was a
What is
trend
it?
in our, yes, this was a trend in our country too for the last 3 centuries. But these days, fortunately, girls are becoming in front in terms of achievement, academic achievement. So many of them has to come to the front as their male counterparts. But if it was the case, there is a beginning, there's a positive move in this country that females are coming to the front. Just I want to inform the participants that they are coming. Just to
Yes,
make
thank you. Thank you, Petros, for sharing your observations. If you're able to use the chat box, I know you're on your phone, but if you're able to, it'd be great if you could also just type some of your thoughts because your voice is a little bit unclear, but I know you're doing your best to connect. So thank you for sharing. Any more comments, please put into the chat box because we're going to hear from Kasumi Moritani. She's an associate project officer at UNESCO ECPA, and she said hello earlier in this call. If you could please go ahead, Kasumi, with your introduction. Let us know if you want us to come in and share the link in the chat box too for the guide.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marianne. Good morning, good afternoon again to you all from Ethiopia. My name is Kasumi and I'm an associate project officer at UNESCO ECPA. And today I am going to introduce the gender responsive pedagogy toolkit that we developed with the Forum for African Women Educationalists, or FAWE, and UNICEF. So I will be presenting the overview of the GLP toolkit contents and then a little bit about the gender responsive pedagogy itself. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, here is a little bit of background of this toolkit. The Gender Responsive Pedagogy Toolkit, or GRP Toolkit, was developed in collaboration between UNESCO ECPA, UNICEF, and FAWE in 2018, based on the Gender Responsive Pedagogy model developed by FAWE in 2005. The GRP model aimed at training teachers to be more gender aware by equipping them with the skills to understand and address the specific learning needs of both girls and boys. And given the evolving needs and educational landscape, this toolkit was revamped to address not only for girls' access to education, but also their retention and progression through secondary education and beyond. So the review was intended to review from the original model to this toolkit was intended to modify the previous handbook to fit pre-service as well as in-service teachers training, unlike the original handbook. The new toolkit was intended to be one, a tool for training, and then two, a difference for classroom teachers with different activity ideas and tips. Three, a reference for school management, and lastly, a reference for creatively engaging community stakeholders. So how was the GLP toolkit developed? So there was a review process which started with a literature review and assessment of the GLP practice challenges and prospects in 17 selected countries. And then based on the findings, this revamped toolkit incorporates several unique methodological attributes. It provides foundational information and guidance supplemented with activities, case studies, examples, and self-assessment questions. It also includes activities designed to elicit and build upon the knowledge of both teachers and learners, inviting their contribution. And also it integrates art and creativity as powerful experiential tools. Then it also adapts a human rights-based approach. Here's the structure of GLP toolkit. It's structured into 6 main sections plus a resource appendix. We will look at each section briefly now, but here I just wanted to show how each unit is nicely color-coded for ease of use, distinguishing content for teachers, school leadership managers and administrators, and for both groups. So the toolkit is a start with section 1, which focus on background commitment and rationale, which covers the important international commitment framework and the human rights approach. And then section 2 covers gender responsive schools and management systems. It's followed by gender responsive pedagogy and learning. I personally really like this section. Then the next section focused on gender responsive and safe classroom environment. And then section 5 focused on engaging stakeholders and advocacy. Section 6 is on the design, monitoring, and evaluation. And lastly, the resources and appendix. And each unit starts with an overview like this and the description of the objectives. And throughout the toolkit, there are many activity ideas like this. And then the toolkit also has boxes of good practices or case studies like this. And it also takes into account a wide spectrum of learning styles of learners. And it has a variety of teaching approaches and activities, ideas, including art and creative expressions. And also this toolkit has ready-to-use assessment cards and templates, including for monitoring and evaluation activities. I really find the toolkit very useful because of these practical items embedded in the toolkit. Okay, now I'd like to draw from the toolkit to highlight key terminologies. The introduction of today's session was really great. It was a stimulation of our gender lens. I hope this will help revisit your previous learning and discussion as well. So firstly, what is gender responsiveness? Just take 5 seconds for you to reflect on. So gender responsiveness is about taking action to correct gender bias and discrimination in order to ensure gender equality and equity. The part in bold is especially important as we compare with, for instance, gender sensitivity. Or gender awareness. Gender sensitivity is the ability to recognize and respect the experience and needs of all genders, while gender awareness is the ability to identify problems arising from gender inequality, discrimination, even if these are not apparent on the surface. So gender responsiveness, again, is about taking action to correct gender bias and discrimination. Now, what is gender responsive school? So gender responsive school, reflecting on the definition of gender responsiveness, it's a gender response, the gender responsive school is one in which the academic, social, and
physical environment take into account the specific needs of both girls and boys. For example, classroom setup, accessibility, the teaching methodologies, language use, educational materials, in this student, teacher, student interaction. A gender-responsive school also implies that management systems, policies, and practice, of course, and this includes ensuring adequate infrastructure for girls and students with disabilities. Then, lastly, what is then gender-responsive pedagogy? Gender-responsive pedagogy is teaching and learning processes that pay attention to the specific learning needs of girls and boys. It's easier said than done. But what do you need to do to ensure specific learning needs are met? First, of course, you need to understand the specific challenges and gaps in skills and knowledge for both genders. For example, boys may need extra support to develop emotional intelligence, while girls may need extra support to speak up in class or in subjects of science, technology, engineering, and math. But this needs to be assessed in your specific context. Then incorporate an inclusive gender approach in the process of lesson planning, teaching practices, classroom management, and performance evaluation. The toolkit offers a key consideration on these aspects. So I invite you to look into that as well. So how to promote or implement the GLP toolkit in your country? There are multiple ways, but let us revisit its intended usage and purposes, as I shared in the beginning. The toolkit is a practical tool for training, so you may use this as a resource to train new teachers or refreshing the knowledge of experienced teachers, or a reference for classroom teachers to create inclusive classroom environment, or as a reference for school management, or as a reference for teachers and school management to creatively engage community stakeholders. So last but not least, the toolkit has been converted to a self-paced online course as well. The good thing about this e-learning course is that it's very short and can be completed in one day. I would personally suggest starting with this e-learning course and then complement with the toolkit. So I would encourage you to check the toolkit as well as the e-learning course, which you can find in the training guide page on the UNESCO ICPA's website and also the virtual campus. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry for just talking one way. Thank you. Back to you, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Kasumi. That was really interesting. And I think there's a lot of resources there that we can use and learn from. I especially like how you showed how it could be useful to us. But if I could ask you a question to perhaps start the Q&A session. We're going to have a short Q&A session right now. Let's take until the top of the hour, maybe 10 minutes to hear some questions from participants. Could I start by starting the Q&A by maybe asking you a question and then turning it over to my colleague Yvonne to take more questions from the group? My question to you is, what do you think of sometimes people conflate girls' education with gender responsive education, sort of using them all together as the same term. I wonder what you think about that, whether these are the same things, or whether these are different things, and how you might talk to participants in the room from ministries of education, many of them, about the difference in the terms. Thank you.
Okay, I thought it was a question to all of the participants, and I think it's a good thing to discuss as well. If I got your question or the discussion point correctly, you were saying that the girls' education and gender responsive pedagogy or education, what are the commonality differences? How do we promote both?
Yes, please.
I really want to hear from the people in the room. I think it's also I think it's the focus is slightly different. Girls' education, I personally think that the issue is it's the to look into the issue that girls are facing specifically. But gender responsive pedagogy is not just about girls, but also for the needs of all the learners, and look into what the social constructed gender roles and responsibilities are affecting each of the learners, the progress and process of their development.
Thank you, Kasumi. I will just let Yvonne take it from here. Yvonne, thanks.
Thank you, Marianne. And I do see a hand from John. John, your hand quickly went down, and I hope it is still up. Please go ahead and ask the question.
Good afternoon again. Yeah, thanks so much for this brilliant topic on this gender responsiveness and what we have learned. And I just have a question concerning the e-learning aspect of this teaching we have received. How do we go about it? How do you go about it? Is it something you will do, or is something that comes up a particular time in a day or a week, or just a self-learning kind of thing? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I can probably show how to access the course and also enroll. It's a self-paced online course that you can enroll. Anyone can enroll at any point. This, hope you can see. Okay, I think you can see now. So this is how the e-learning platform look like. And at the top right, you see login. And then if it's the first time you are accessing this platform, you can create a new account, and then once you log in, you can see the courses that are available. And here is the GLP courses which are available in French and English. Yeah, there are okay. Yeah. So it's a very short course. The we wanted these courses to be very short and concise so that anyone can easily start and take the course. It's free. It's can be done in one day, and anyone can enroll. And there is no simultaneous session or anything, but it has a lot of resources to follow. So I invite everyone to find the time for yourself to take the course and look into the resources as well.
Thank you so much, Kazumi. John, I hope that answers your question. And
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And it's really helpful for all of us knowing how to navigate the page. Any other question? If you complete the course, you will receive a certificate of participation from the course designers. So this is what Marianne has shared. This is in addition to the certification that will be given to members who have been consistent in this particular community of practice. So maybe at the end, Marianne will be able to tell us how many people were consistent who are going to receive the certificates. But you'll also receive a certificate after the completing the e-course. So any other question? I'm not seeing any hand, I believe.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello? Is someone speaking?
Yes, I'm audible. Yeah, Petros.
Oh, Petros. Petros,
Yeah.
please go ahead. Though we are really
Am I
struggling.
audible?
Yes, now you're audible. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Ah,
Petros, we can hear you.
yes.
Okay.
Can you
So
hear me
maybe
now?
you can, Petros, I think there's a problem with your
Yes, a bit.
connection. You can speak now. Okay, go ahead.
I have one question to Kasumi. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. We are listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. And fortunately, we here in Ethiopia we are developing pedagogy for our teachers, starting from 2 days before. And then we are thinking of the nexus between gender, education, and development. So through quality gender awareness education and participating all gender, we believe that quality of education will be enhanced and then we can contribute to development. So how can you help us in this journey, in the development of our GRP document for teacher training, for e-service and in-service? This is what I want to raise, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Petros.
Thank you.
Kazumi, maybe you can go ahead. I'm not seeing any other question at the moment. Maybe you can respond to Petros.
Sorry, I couldn't get what Petros said.
Petros could you repeat, but I think they are trying to develop a GRP, gender responsive pedagogy plan, or is it work plan or something? Petros, please repeat.
We are working on GRP for our teachers. And then in that journey, one of the units that we have is conceptualizing gender, education, and development for the teachers. Once they understand this, we believe that they can motivate both girls and boys education in our education system. So in this regard, how can the tool that Kasumi present
I lost him, but I think I got the question. the tool is really useful in that regard, especially the section 4, I think, for teachers and administrators on the training and also safe classroom environments. It has a lot of useful activity ideas, training ideas, framework, templates. I think we can review together and also develop together the plan for that.
We lost you, Kazumi. Or it's my connection. I cannot hear. Marian, can you hear Kazumi?
Yes, I could hear her. It might be your connection, Yvonne. I was able to hear her.
It seems my connection is unstable. Marian, the toolkit, is it part of the Google Drive that we have for this particular community of practice?
Yes, yes. So I'm going to share the link again in the chat box for the resource folder. It's called the resource pack. Everything's there, including this toolkit. Feel free to log into or just open the public link in the chat box.
Thank you so much. So maybe, Marian, I give it over to you. I'm not seeing any hands or any questions in the chat room. Maybe we can hear from the presenters that we have. And then if you should think of any question that is related to what Kazumi has just presented, or any other information that you may require concerning this community of practice, please feel free to write your question in the chat. We'll try and respond before we close. So Marian, over to you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I actually just noticed a hand go up from somebody as you were wrapping up. Is it Arsene? Arsene? Did you want to comment on the gender responsive toolkit before we move to participant presentations?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. So I'm Arsene, I'm joining from Togo, West Africa. And I have a question related to the curriculum for girls empowerment. And I wanted to see or to know whether the resources that you have shared with us, if there are some resources that we could adapt to our context, because I'm running here a girls center, adolescent girls empowerment center. And we are currently starting the project of writing our curriculum for girls to be empowered over 1 to 2 years. And we are seeking for the expertise of some people who are already in the domain for a long time. And I wanted to know whether the resources that you have shared with us would be of help, or if there is any way or any advice you could be giving us in the development of this curriculum for our context here in Northern Togo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arsene. Regarding curriculum unit 3 of the toolkit, it would be useful. There is a aspect of curriculum included in that unit.
One more question, Kasumi.
I see a hand up from Michael as well. He hasn't had a chance to speak yet.
Hello, can you hear me? You can hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Wanjuzi Makongo. I am coming in from Manafa district in eastern Uganda. And I work with the Laudato Si movement. It is a Catholic-based environmental organization, and we work with the the youths in these rural parts of Uganda, and also the women. And we are particularly involved in ecological restoration. Now, this course here, I think, would be very relevant in my community, although it is rural and we have some challenges there. But my question is this course, since my organization is faith-based, is there a way we can work together or fit in the organization structure? Do you see it viable, or is it possible to do this kind of arrangement? Thank you very much.
Is the question about organizing a training there? Could you repeat the question, Michael?
Yeah, I was asking whether, since the organization I work with is faith-based, it's a Catholic-based organization. Is this course, well, I'm sure it can fit in, but is there a way we can arrange with the movement and we see how we can work together to promote this gender-based education? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you may include this in your implementation plan or activity plan. If it would be better, I think, for us to receive ideas from your end and see whether there is any possibility of organizing something together or work together.
Okay, I see a thumbs up from Michael. Petros, very quickly, would you like to ask your question? Then we have to move on because we have two presenters who are eager to share their updates. Quickly, Petros.
Thank you. If I'm audible, Marianne.
I think it's better
in
now.
relation to GRP, yeah. In relation to GRP, we have done a lot of capacity building programs. Now we are upgrading the module for teacher training, but I doubt it is changing the way we wanted it to be changed in relation to gender and gender balance. So if there is any strategy in any African country that really impact the gender balance other than capacity building trainings, and if one of these strategies is included into the GRP that Kasumi has presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Petros. I think that's a good question for the group then. If anybody has an example of their countries who have implemented gender-responsive pedagogy, it'd be really great if you would like to connect with Petros. He's asking, to learn a bit more. So please comment in the chat box. And I think this is an ongoing question, Petros, that we'll be addressing. So it's a great point. Can we please now move on to a couple of participant presentations, because I know that the time is racing fast and I don't want to keep you until dinner time. Okay, so let's have the slides, if you would please, Camelia. And colleagues, we had three presenters who were going to go today, but one of them, Dr. Leoncia Kibani from Tanzania, she's not able to present today. She has to travel today. So she's going to do next week. You might recall that we're having 2 meetings in a row about this topic and our action plans and results. So she'll present next Wednesday. But today we're going to hear from 2 people, Ms. Anne Gachoya from Kenya and Dr. Makube Radinkun from Lesotho. They both are here today, introduced themselves earlier. Miss Anne, would you like to go first and share what have been your achievements this year, your challenges in implementing, in doing a gender responsive or gender equity advocacy work in your department? And what are your next steps? What do you think you're going to have to do next, maybe next year? So you have 10 minutes to share. Please go ahead, Anne.
Okay, yeah,
yes,
thank you
Anne?
all.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the participants for attending this meeting. I want to start by saying that gender equality and equity are key goals in Kenya development agenda, and based on that, some officers from the Ministry of Education and even from the civil society organization have joined the online work as far as the community of practice in gender responsiveness education is concerned, which aimed at enhancing understanding of gender responsive pedagogy and education. And we got an understanding that basically this is an approach to teaching and teaching and learning that takes into consideration the diverse needs and the challenges and experiences of learners based on gender and other factors like the disability and the marginalized. And with that, you can move on the slide, Marian. And with that, I want to share some of the work that we have done based on that knowledge. One of them is that we were able to review and develop a gender responsive national education sector strategic plan, which we are implementing now, 2023-2027. And one of the key strategic objectives is on enhancing equity and inclusion, where the issues of gender have really been addressed in this plan, and which the government and also the non-state actors are going to implement the interventions they are in. I was also able to participate in a media launch campaign where I was a speaker on the African Girls Education. It was organized by Bakita Partnerships for Education. I shared insights on the gender responsive as I had learned in the course. The other thing I've done is the participation in the review of gender in education and training policy to ensure that the gender policy in Kenya is more responsive. We have a policy 2015, which review is ongoing, and we are reviewing it based on the knowledge and information that we have learned from this course, hence coming up with a responsive policy. The other is the development of teacher education and training policy. Previously, we have not had a specific policy document on teacher education and training. Hence, we are coming up with this to ensure that the teachers actually are equipped with the relevant knowledge and the skills in order they are able to recognize the diverse needs, biases as far as the classroom interaction and assessment is concerned. Kenya is implementing the competency-based curriculum. So through the knowledge we gained, we are able now to have an inclusive curriculum where there's gender-sensitive content, learning materials, issues of improved classrooms, environments, and all that to ensure that it is gender responsive. Other work that we have done is in terms of advocacy and awareness campaign. And with that, we are able to advocate for more girls or more female in school leadership, which has shown some improvement in terms of female teachers taking position in school, as well as girls and as well as more girls. Other work that we have done, you can move the slide. Other work we have done is on campaigns against the gender-based violence, because it is one thing that has been that is happening in Kenya. And right now we are participating in the 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence, so that we are also able to conduct this. We also have issues of advocacy, our Our vision, or rather our slogan, is to end GBV. And all these we are doing are based on the knowledge, and we want to advocate for that end of GBV as one of our work. My work, basically, after going through this course. In terms of what we have then achieved, after we have put that in the sector plan, after we have reviewed various documents, after we have even advocated for scholarships, we have also advocated for sanitary towels, which are being given to girls. What is it that we have achieved so far? So far, we can say that in Kenya, we have made tremendous progress. Although we are not yet there is still work to be done, because we find there is greater gender parity in primary and the primary. We also find that in secondary, we also have narrowed the gender gap, and we can say Kenya has also moved up 2 positions in the ranking as far in 2024, before it was. We also find we have increased the enrollment of girls in the KCPE KPSEA assessment if we compare with the previous years. We can also say that apart from that, we have also been able to have more girls enroll in the TVET programs, as well as in STEM, that is science, technology, mathematics, and engineering. We have had some mentorship programs also through as part of our work, mentorship, and also the camps, conducting camps for the girls' child, so that more enroll in the STEM subjects. Another achievement we have managed to get through our advocacy is that the Kenya University College Placement Service is actually taking into consideration in terms of gender, that is preferring girls so that they are admitted with a slightly lower grade in some of these courses. And we are also having the campaign, which we call the Triple Threat Campaign against HIV, GBV, teenage pregnancies, which are also very common in Kenya. So those are actually some of the works. You can move to the next slide. So here I had already said we are near gender parity, because the required is 0.97, between 0.97 index and 1.03. So in primary, we are near the gender, the recommended, because we are at 0.96. But in secondary, we are a bit far, but still better than the way it was. This is all achieved through our efforts. Move to the next slide. I think I've talked about this. We move to the challenges facing my gender responsive work and advocacy. Even though we are still continuing with our advocacy campaign, facing Kenya, we are also facing challenges in terms of the cultural and the social norms. We find that we have some cultures which even now practice early marriages. We also have forced marriages. We also have female genital mutilation, which actually prevent girls from completing their education. Once they're engaged in all these, once they get pregnant, they are no longer able to continue with learning. Even though we have the re-entry guidelines to the girls, we still find they don't come back. The other major challenge that we are facing in terms of the gender responsive work and advocacy is the preference of the GBV. The rates are still very high. There is sexual harassment in homes, in schools, places of work, trafficking of women and the girls. All these are undermining the efforts that are ongoing, though we are really trying. The other is about the underreporting due to fear of stigma, lack of confidence in law enforcement and the cultural practices. Why is this? It is like so because we are having weak enforcement mechanisms. and lack of inadequate support systems. So we can say that even when one is victimized, reporting becomes an issue because the enforcement mechanisms are not smooth and there is no trust in the judicial system. Hence, that is another challenge that needs to be addressed. Another challenge that needs to be addressed, apart from the increased GBV, you can move to the next slide, is the femicide. Femicide is still very rampant in Kenya. On 21st November 2024, during the President's State of Address, he acknowledged that this is a problem. In 3 months, about 96 girls have lost their lives through femicide. So this is a challenge that has come up in Kenya. It's not a new thing, though, and it is really affecting the efforts. We also have gender stereotypes, which is also another challenge that we are struggling with, where the women, they are still very few in senior positions, in education sector. They are taking very few women in leadership positions, becoming teachers, becoming principals, becoming education officers, becoming cabinet secretaries. Hence, there is underrepresentation, even when it comes to decision making. And when they are not underrepresented, then the decisions made do not favor them. Hence, that defeats some of the efforts that are ongoing because the decisions are not for the support. They are against because the women are few at that decision-making organ. I just want to go very quickly. Those are the challenges. The way forward, what we are planning to do right now to strengthen gender responsive. As far as the strategic plan is concerned, we have put several interventions to address gender, more so that are gender responsive, like school environment, the teaching materials and all that. So one thing is to advocate for a gender responsive budgeting, planning and implementation, including the monitoring aspect, so that we are well equipped. The other is to enhance the enforcement of gender equality laws and the policies, including the entry. Yes, we have the policies. Yes, we have the constitution. Yes, we have the national gender policy. Yes, we have the gender laws, even international. Yes. What about the enforcement and the implementation? You know, they are not implemented. They are not implemented properly. So there's still some work to be done there. The other is to foster greater community engagement that challenge the harmful gender norms and the social and the cultural, like the female genital mutilation, the issue of early marriages, the issue of child marriages, and all that kind of thing. So there's need to strengthen work with the community itself so that it comes from the communities. Stopping those things that create barrier to education become part of the community, and the community are able now to support the fight against them. The other is to advocate that every institution in Kenya to have an anti-GBV policy. And we have one which we have started saying through my initiative, that it is zero tolerance to GBV. Zero tolerance to GBV. So this one, I also used this knowledge. We learned here together with you people. And then when we were doing the guidance and the counseling policy for Kenya, we were able to put that statement, policy statement, zero tolerance to GBV. So if we advocate all that, those are some of the works that we plan to do or strategies moving forward. The other part of the strategy is addressing barriers to participation. That is addressing, of course, the factors that are leading to early marriages. Like for instance, we find some of them, they get pregnant when they are borrowing money for sanitary towels. So the government is providing sanitary towels together with some NGOs who have come in to support, and also meeting some of the indirect costs that basically poverty, sometimes it is linked to all that. And then, of course, there is now addressing the GBV aspect. The other is about the household responsibilities, where we are coming up so that we have greater involvement of the community and the parents, so that they are able to see the roles and all that. And then providing flexible schooling options. Kenya has developed accelerated education program guidelines, so that even those girls who may get pregnant and they drop out of school, they are able to be accommodated through the flexible schooling options that are available. Continue with the scholarships. We have the RIMU scholarship, and then we also have some stipends which are given to girls, particularly to girls. All these aimed at ensuring that they are able to be kept in school. So participants, that is what I have done. That is my self-assessment as far as gender responsive pedagogy and the education course is concerned. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anne. I just want to give you a round of applause, and maybe others can do the same. Thank you for sharing your tremendous efforts. When I saw your presentation, I was just feeling like you're very aware and attuned with the right people and the right departments in your context, that you know who to engage and how to engage them and who to consult. So it looks like you're really able to use the resources at your disposal well and connect with the right people to make change. That's quite inspiring. I think half of the work is just that, it's just mobilizing our colleagues. Everyone, please keep your questions till the end. We'd like to hear from one more individual. So Dr. Makube, would you like to share your achievements and challenges and next steps? And then we'll take some questions and comments from the members in the room. Makube?
Yes, thank you very much, Marian. I don't have a presentation to share, but I would like to talk to my plan, whereby I had identified 3 actions. I'm trying to share it. Let's see where now to share. Okay, here. Which one is it? Oh, yes. Here is my professional action plan. The first action was for us to disseminate information on non-formal education opportunities available in the communities through the formal school, targeting child dropouts and young youth. We have a department which is specifically dedicated towards educating learners out of classrooms, which is the Lesotho Distance Teaching Center. I think it has come to be known as now lately Alternative Pathways Department. Now, what we had thought was that since our target are learners who drop out of the formal education system, then it's better for us to communicate this message, the availability of system of this non-formal education system through these formal schools, because they are actually our potential and future clients. That has been done tremendously, but we have been even going to the extent of taking advantage of the ministry's events, such as maybe sporting events and all those, and to start talking about the importance of a non-formal education or studying outside the 4 classrooms as it is. We have also intensified our routine monitoring and evaluation, targeting specifically those areas where we think we are most likely to find a girl child. And the most important thing that we have done is to insist on the alignment of the non-formal education with the formal education system in Lesotho. How does our non-formal education system work? We actually having some kind of a receptacle for the formal education system that all those learners, especially boys and girls who have got challenges, who drop out of the formal mainstream system, should also be given an opportunity outside this system, realizing that the majority drop out because of poverty, etc., etc. Now, my second action plan was to conduct desktop analysis of girls' performance in male stereotype subjects. In our country, we have got a unique situation whereby you'd find that as we progress forward, institutions that are into STEM subjects often are full of boys, while institutions which are in softer skills subjects like management studies, etc., is males. Now, we wanted to see if there is any disparity in terms of their performance given our national examinations that we conduct every year. And data was provided for us, but I must say, I didn't do justice to this part because its cumbersome, it's quite huge, and it needed some kind of expertise that is going to be done. However, what we have done this time around is that when we conduct our national assessment, we do conduct what we call national assessment, apart from the examinations themselves, wherever we are testing the strengths of our system. We have refined many times indeed our instruments such that immediately when they give us data, at least the categories that we want, these categories that we want are already reflected. We already can tell when we are inputting data whether the kind of performance that we see between boys and girls in schools. We have also advocated for the advertisement of scholarships or assistance that we give to learners in terms of subjects. And gender, this is just a plan. It hasn't been finalized, but it has been presented many times in the Ministry of Senior Management that open scholarships are no longer helping this country. We better describe them, that we need 5 scientists, or we need 4 this and that. We name them by scholarships and then see if we are going to get the cream that we want from those students. But where a lot of work has been done is with identification of organizations that are dealing with issues of gender. I was shocked to realize that people have been eagerly waiting for this kind of opportunity. I don't know if I've shared the right document, but we did, through the assistance of some of our colleagues who are in here, especially the Lesotho Council of Non-Governmental Organization, accumulate information on organizations that are dealing with gender. And now, as I speak, we am proud to report that at least we know each other. Then what is left with us, or what would be the next steps, is for us now to start. Okay, here it is. I just wanted you colleagues to see. The next step are for us now to start maybe strategizing on how we are going to work together, because since we are so many, as you can see here, we need to have some kind of a strategic plan. I have realized that some organizations are even doing the same thing, but they were not aware before. I've realized that some of them are directly working on our objectives as the Minister of Education and Training, as you can see there. I don't want to go through them, but this is the team that now we have. And the majority of them are headed quite by very senior people, executive directors, etc., who all, in one way, were saying, no, we need to start talking because we seem to be pushing towards the same direction. I think that's about all, Marian, that I would like to report at the moment.
Makube, thank you so much for sharing this. Would you scroll up to the top of this document? I missed the title of the list of the contacts, the members.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here, even though we have named the organization, actually are private entities, even ministries entities. So we would like to ask everybody in Lesotho to start talking about issues of the girl and the boy child in one tone. Hence, why we have come up with this. Here is just my summary for me to easily remember what each of these organizations are doing and their contacts. And I need people. I need to talk directly to a specific person in that particular organization. So they have given us names of people that we can contact. And what made me happy here is that these are very senior people who have got a leverage in decision making, which means our work is going to be easier moving forward.
This is great, Makube. And what I'm getting from some of your presentations today is, and some of the work that I've been reading about that you're doing, is mobilizing your colleagues, your staff, and sharing your learning and your drive and advocacy passion with others. So this is really great. I think that this is like I said to Anne, I think mobilizing our colleagues is half of the work, because we are just one person. We're just individuals. We can only go so far. And if we drop out, then who else is part of our work? Who will continue in our stead? So I really think this is very important. I would encourage others to also sort of take the lead from Makube in this, and identify who's working or willing to work with you on your gender advocacy work going forward, and just make it a good practice to be in touch with others who are working on these issues, so that it's maybe feels less isolating, and that you can learn from them, they can learn from you, and you can maybe invite them to these meetings that we have, especially if there's a topic that they can maybe inform us about. It'd be great to enrich this space with some of these experts who are working on specific subtopics within the overall theme that we're approaching. This is really great, really great. And again, feel free, if you would like to maybe showcase some of their work, invite them to this space. They can give a presentation. I mean, just the first topic, abuse, domestic violence, and communicable diseases on girls and boys. I mean, even that one topic, we could, have a meeting that focuses on how girls and boys may experience violence differently in schools. There's so much to this topic, and we could bring colleagues from UNICEF who have done research on this topic, on school-related gender-based violence, and how different studies show that, abuse is different for girls and boys in schools. Girls might be sexually harassed or made to feel like objects, sexualized objects in a school, and boys might be subject to spanking or put downs from teachers, or more corporal punishment, or getting into more fights. So there's different levels of all of this. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm doing too much talking now. I want to open up the space for others to comment, ask questions. Can we first begin with your comments and questions to Anne from Kenya and Makube from Lesotho before you start to talk about your own work and your own updates, which we hope that you do talk about, but please first direct your comments towards what they have shared. I see a hand up from Michael again. Please, Michael, go ahead. Start us off.
Thank you very much, Marianne. I want to comment on what Anna has just presented, and I want to confirm or acknowledge that well, myself, my dad is a Ugandan and my mom is a Kenyan. I was born in Kenya, so I know what is happening in both countries, since I visit both countries regularly. Now, what she said that is happening in Kenya concerning the gender-based violence is exactly the same thing that is happening in Uganda. And coming from the border of Uganda and Kenya, I'm sure whatever the habits that are happening across the borders affect the communities around. And I want my comment was just to acknowledge what she said, and we are looking forward to the way for how to overcome those challenges that are affecting the communities around that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. I think that's more of a comment than a question. Thank you so much. Looking for some ladies to also ask questions. Please, Janet, Ann Nagatia, Irene, Lucy, Pamela, Mervi. We have time for questions, so please feel free. let's hear from John and then Keba.
Yeah, thanks so much for Hannah's presentation from Kenya. So I was when I see the statistics of the number of femicide just happening with just within 3 months, I think it is very, very alarming. And it is something that all of us should take actions. I know this is not also only limited to Kenya, like my brother also was saying, in Uganda too is going on, and all in our even other parts of the African countries, it's happening. Even here in Sierra Leone, it does happen, and this is something that government and should not take light. But my question is, what really the government has done? Well, the first two questions. One, what have you discovered that are the causes of this high rate of femicide, and also what government has done or government is about to do to make sure this thing does not continue? Because for 3 months, if we have over 90 people being killed, and let's say for a year, that would be a great number of people who will lose their life. Thank you so much for this presentation. These are my questions. Thank you.
Anne, would you like to comment on that question?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for the comments and even for the question. One, you have asked the causes of this femicide and then what the government has really done. As I said again, one of the challenges that we have, even for other challenges, the normal GBV, that is the normal one which has been happening, it is inadequate support system, weak law and enforcement. It is still a challenge even when we come to dealing with femicide. There is weak enforcement, there is weak even in the follow-up and all that. And sometimes, by the way, you find that even those who the victims have not been arrested and all that kind of thing. So that one still remains a challenge. But then the government, through the president address, he was able to acknowledge this, and we are hoping that moving forward, something is going to be done. For the causes, I'm not sure whether there is a study that has been done. I'm not sure, but I'm going to invite my colleague Angatia to maybe make a comment on this about the causes of femicide, if she has something. But from my side, I'm not aware of any study that has been done to show what are the real causes of this femicide. Next step, as a country, and even as myself, yeah, so that we are able to establish the causes and then be able to put the correct interventions. And Katia, maybe you can help there.
Well, thank you, Anne. Yes, yeah, thank you, Anne Gashoya, bringing this up. As I think I'll just join Anne in saying, yes, it's an unfortunate that we are having increased cases of femicide, and we can't quite say conclusively what is the reason, but I believe there are issues of mental health, there are issues of people not being able to handle stress. You know, they don't know how to really work on their emotions. When you if it's a man and they want to, they have not, I mean, they're not having a very good relationship, then instead of having a sit down and coming up with good ways of resolving the conflict, then we just find that this is happening. So I think it has a lot to do with issues of conflict resolution, what are our knowledge levels in terms of conflict resolution, issues of mental health, which I think is something that the government is trying to see. It has put in quite a huge resource to try and curb this particular menace, and just to make sure that it doesn't go on as it is going on. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Just a comment. Can you hear me?
Petros, yes, quickly go ahead, and then we'll hear from Keba and Janet. Go ahead, Petros.
Yeah, the thing that we have to read from Dr. Makube's presentation is making it the agenda of the leaders. No, it's not an easy thing. Once we make it an agenda of the leaders, the possibility of implementation is so easy. So this must be the things that we have to learn from these activities. Thank you.
Hello? Hello, hello?
Hello, Janet.
Yes, thank you, the presenters, including my friend Anne and the gentleman from Lesotho. That was very, very rich. However, I have a concern which I should be part of the solution, but I would like to ask this, that in most cases, whenever gender issues are being discussed, in any forum, at community level or whatever forum, in most cases, it is the girls and the women who are usually considered to be the target persons. However, this, according to me, I may not have any backup, any evidence, but I feel this has left the boys and the men behind. And that is one of the reasons why we have so many femicide cases, so many other reasons why we are not moving, despite the big efforts that countries are put in place to bring the girls up. And therefore, I'm also wondering, how can we as governments bring up both genders so that they are walking the same at the same level? Probably this will lower the big challenges that we are facing. I've also listened to the participants, and I'm sorry I've not heard any of the solutions that is targeting people living with disability. And even in the course that ICBA is going to offer us, I'm wondering whether the people with the disability have been catered for in the resources, in the materials. In most cases, we leave them behind. And if you look at the challenges we are having today related to gender, those people are not, their issues are not addressed. Name it, be it in education, be it in socially, economically, most of them are left behind. So how can we as governments address the men or the boys and the people living with the disability? Thank you so much.
Maybe I'll quickly comment on that the best that I can, and request anyone else in the group with expertise, maybe more expertise than me, to also come in. So a couple of things there. Thank you, Janet, for your question. It's a good one. So let me take the second one first. The guide that has been shared today is a specific and focused guide. It's a teaching guide for gender, it's a toolkit, sorry, for gender responsive pedagogy. And we heard the different parts of the guide that was presented earlier. And so it may not as directly address all aspects of inclusive education because it's focusing on one type of inclusion, which is gender inclusion and gender equity and equality. I do agree with you that we always need to focus on learners with disabilities. This particular toolkit may not focus on it as much as we would like, but what we have is a chance to share something more specific on inclusive education. We have resources on that, and just give me a day to get back to you about something more specific on that. But this particular guide is focusing more on gender responsive pedagogy and gender transformative pedagogy and gender sensitive education, a little bit more so than inclusion more broadly. But we have other resources for that. But like I said, just give me a day to get back to you with something more specific. I would need to ask our partners for something on that. But you're right that there's a link between the two. Related to your first question on boys being left behind, this is a really interesting fact that has been brought up by quite a few countries, and I think Lesotho is another country that has mentioned that this is happening. So UNESCO does have a guide on reaching the boy child in an era in which maybe they might be starting to fall behind because of the focus on girls' education. However, I want to say one thing clearly is that every country will have a different situation. In some countries, the girls are still definitely unequivocally the ones who are left behind. And there's no doubt about that. And in other countries, we're starting to see, things shift a bit, becoming more equal. And when things become more equal, again, we can go into the difference between equitable and equal. When things become more equitable or more equal, it will be strange. And at first, the system might seem to be shifting way in favor of the other party for a while. And that's an interesting pendulum swing that can happen sometimes, where it has been such a way for a very long time. And then after a little while, it gradually starts to move in the other direction. And then it could shift back to the center. I think we're always trying to focus on equality, but sometimes equity it's not the same thing as equality. And sometimes equity might look like girls having some more chances than boys in some situations to bring things a little bit more towards a balancing act because it's been so long in the other way. So there's really interesting ideas here. We could talk about them. We could get into a good discussion, even a debate about this, about equity and equality. But above all, gender responsive education does not favor girls over boys. We need to keep that in mind. It is looking at how girls and boys learn differently and trying to achieve a situation where they both feel included, capable, and aware of their rights from a human rights perspective. They both have the same right to education, to quality education, to inclusive education. So gender responsive education is not girls' education. It's way bigger than that. And of course, we need to include the boys. They face unique challenges. I remember a discussion we had with members from Lesotho a few months back. There was a point brought up that many of them are compelled to work. I think Eswatini is also in the same situation where they're compelled to work and they drop out at a higher rate than girls drop out. And then in other countries, it's the girls who drop out. But they're both facing challenges in different ways. Gender responsive pedagogy does not exclude the boys. It includes the boys just as much as the girls. So I think the toolkit that was shared earlier might give us some strategies and some language to talk about the unique challenges that boys and girls face. And maybe we can become advocates for the boys or the girls in our contexts who we see are being left behind. It's not just about the girls, of course. It's about everybody. Kepa, do you have a question? Then we'll go to Sibabatso. Then we have to wrap up because we're going to look at another online resource after this. So Kepa, would you like to go?
Yeah,
next?
thank you very much. I think the discussion is getting interesting and more interesting. of course, my first question goes to Anne, that is to say, I know they have done a lot of work, and what actually my takeaway would be is that I think there is a good way of mobilizing the public sector or even creating more awareness regarding his work, her work, what he has been doing. I don't know whether my question would now be, how did she do it? Was it through an online meeting, or was it in a space that was created by the Ministry of Ministry of Education in their case, so that she was able to share what he has done, or how was he able to do the very good work that he has done in trying to share what he has learned during these sessions. To Lesotho, I think my question would now be, or rather it's more of trying to get more information from him, knowing that various people are interested in actually working on gender. What has he done, or how has he seen their participation level? Are they readily or willingly able to share or come together with him so that they can follow the work that he is doing currently at the country level? So thank you. Over.
My comment was based on the question that was I think it was from Janet, when she mentioned that she's not seeing persons with or anything with persons with disability. So I was going to mention that with Dr. Galengwane's organizations that he's working with, one of the main organizations there is a CSO, that's the mother body of persons with disabilities in the country, and who were in the forefront for the inclusive education policy. So that, as much as maybe in his presentation it wasn't highlighted, it's something that will and can come out, because with the whole non-formal education, there's a need to try to see how the persons with disabilities are accessing education, and the gender parity when it comes to girls and boys with disabilities. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you so much, Sabavatso. I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you for sharing that. And we have a comment as well in the chat box from Nelson and from Anne too. There's a lot of discussion that's happening right now. But Kepa, you've asked a question. I wonder if we have we're running out of time. Okay. Yeah, I think at this time, let's try to save our questions. Can you post your question, Kepa, in the chat box? I would invite Makope to address your question in the chat box. If you can please quickly type it there. We don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do want to turn things over to my colleague, Camelia, who is going to share a page of resources on our website. Over to you, Camelia.
Thank you, Marianne. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, so I'll take only 2 minutes. So for the KICS-19 Hub, there is a digital repository that's hosted on ICPA's website. So if you search ICPA, you can find the UNESCO ICPA's official website, and under the KICS Africa 19, you can see the digital repository. So this is a library of selected resources for KICS-related documents. For example, you can see the past symposium reports and country engagement strategy, etc. And if you scroll down, there is a section about thematic resources. Noting that we're still developing, adding more and more resources to the repository, so you may find more later on as well. But sorry, here you can see there's like reports about gender-based violence. There's also about gender equity and inclusivity. So all the resources are there, so feel free to explore. And also there are meeting notes about the past events, which could be related to gender as well. Other than that, we also have country pages. For example, if we click to Kenya, there is a country brief. And in the country brief, there is a section specific to gender. Here, achieving, if you scroll down, you can see achieving gender equality in and through education, where you can see specific data and also links that leading to more gender-related resources. Other than these, I'm happy to say that ICPA is preparing knowledge briefs related to gender inequality and human capital, and they should be out very soon, next week. I'm happy to share with you the resources once it's available. Yeah, so here's what we have in the hub, and if you have other requests, you feel free to email us, Marianne or me or any of the KICS team for any resources that might help you in terms of gender responsive pedagogies. Thank you. Back to you, Marianne.
Yes, thank you so much, Camelia. And I've posted the link to the in the chat box of the page that she just shared. We are building this page, so it's not complete. It's not like some dusty old library that's finished building its stock. It's an active page that's being updated all the time. So if you have a need for, if you'd like to learn about something that's not, you don't see here on this page, you have to let us know. And we're going to keep building it so that it's demand driven, that it's based on what you'd like to know. We'd like to try to become a one-stop resource for you on these knowledge resources that you might find yourself requesting to use, like the toolkit that was shared today on GRP, so that you have something to take back with you to help you get some strategies for how you might become more effective gender advocates. So the time, colleagues, has gone. I do see some hands up. I'm so sorry. If it's okay if we stay back for maybe 3 more minutes, we can take a hand. We haven't heard from Nelly at all today. Nelly, would you like to ask a question or comment on what's been said today very quickly? Thank you. Nelly, are you there? You have a second to ask your question or comment before we leave, since we haven't heard from you yet today. Nelly? Nelly Machu from Kenya.
Oh, hello, Marianne and team.
Yes, hello.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for the session and the kind of presentations that you have had. My concern is about the resources that have been shared. I don't know whether there is any resource that is able to guide us on gender transformative pedagogies, because we are doing a piece of work and we are not really able to concretize the kind of information that we need to develop materials that can help teachers to be able to mainstream gender transformative pedagogies. I don't know whether we have any content that UNESCO ICPA has developed concerning that. I really need that assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelly. What a good question. Now, you might recall that a couple of meetings back, we looked at the difference between the terms gender sensitive, gender responsive, gender transformative, gender blind. Does anybody here in the room want to say what you remember of definition, gender transformative? How is it different from gender responsive? Anybody? Gender transformative versus gender responsive, which is what we're talking about today. Anybody want to say the definition of gender transformative? I'm sure you might recall the meeting we had earlier on this. Oh, no hands up. Uh-oh. Nellie, would you like to share the definition of or your understanding of gender transformative education and how that's a little different than gender responsive education as you understand it? Because we've already talked about gender responsive and we've shared a toolkit today on gender responsive, but you're asking about gender transformative.
Hi.
Hello, Marianne.
I'm putting everyone on the spot. Yes, Nellie.
Oh, yeah. This is about teachers being deliberate to make sure that all learners, or both boys and girls, participate in learning. So creating a kind of a safe environment where both learners and both learners are able to participate, especially both boys and girls. And again, the teacher being very keen with the kind of activities that they structure to ensure that learners are also able to participate, both boys and girls. And then the language itself from the teachers should also not be able to propagate issues to do with gender stereotypes and so forth. So that kind of inclusive kind of language is what we're talking about, such that even when the teacher is teaching, when the teacher is talking to learners, when teachers are interacting with learners, all these are put into consideration. That is what I understand by that. Thank you.
Great, Nellie. Great. I saw that John unmuted before, but I think you got it right, Nellie. I think that you've explained it. When I hear the word gender transformative versus gender responsive, I think about transformation being so much more of an active word than responsive. Responsive is like Yes, Petros. Yes, Petros.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you very much. In Ethiopia, we do have both programs where we respond to gender causes in relation to most particularly in supporting women, and we do have also gender transformative programs that we're planning to avert the problem from its very cause. So both of them understanding the real problem and elevating it through strategies at system level and responding it to particular situations where unit level, department level, school level, managing boards. So we have to think both interventions as we are demanding both women and men to be equal in this country. So we need bigger projects like this to solve the bigger problems from schools. So we better focus on transformative agendas than solving the immediate problems through gender responsive programs as well. Regards, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Petros, for sharing that. And I believe that certain countries are advocating for gender transformative education, which is a step beyond gender responsive education. It's the idea of transforming gender stereotypes, transforming old gender biases, transforming gender expectations through education, and not just simply responding to existing gender inequalities as they are, but transforming our ideas about what girls are capable of doing, what boys are capable of doing, transforming the social construct of gender through education. So it really takes it a step forward. If any country here has a policy or a program that you think is gender transformative, it'd be great if you could share that on the WhatsApp group or via email so we can talk about that next time, because we haven't even really done justice to the term gender transformative yet. we're so focused on gender sensitive, being aware of these issues, and then gender responsive, responding to the issues. But we could have a whole nother session or several sessions on gender transformative, what it means to transform our notions of gender through education, to take it even beyond responding to existing inequalities, but rethinking what we mean by what a girl can do, what a boy can learn. Colleagues, I'm aware that the time is rapidly going. I think we're going to have to wrap up soon, but what a good discussion this has been, and hearing from all of you. I would invite those who maybe want to stay on for 5 more minutes to stay. I can stay on for 5 more minutes. Those who need to go, please note in the chat box, I've mentioned that we have one more meeting coming up before the end of the year. Camelia, if you're around, could you please share the last slide just to show the slide with the next presenters and the next meeting time, if you don't mind? Okay, so we're having the same discussion next week, next Wednesday. It'll be our last meeting of the year. We're talking again about our results. Can we focus on what we have been able to do this year? Because we're really looking to see, it's the end of the year, what have you done this year? It could be a small achievement, it could be a big achievement. We heard from Anne today, we heard from Akupe today, and we'll hear next week from Petros, from Seklekele, and from Leoncia, the professor from Tanzania who couldn't present today. So we'll hear from them next week. And anybody else who wants to also share, this is your chance. Would anybody like to volunteer to be a discussion leader next time, to help to take the questions and to prepare a bit to read up a little bit on gender responsive pedagogy before the meeting next week, to help to lead the discussion, at least have some role in the discussion next time, so it's not just me talking the whole time. Does anybody want to volunteer? Jacqueline, you raised your hand. Are you volunteering to help lead the discussion next week?
Yes, I am. I missed the introductions earlier. So this is Jacqueline from Zambia Ministry of Education. And I want to know which day we'll be having the next meeting. I think I can commit to leading the discussion with you. I also want to check, I can also give some feedback on some of the work I've done. So I'm not sure if that can happen at the same time I'm doing that role, or you could advise.
Yes, you can. Definitely, you can do both. And so I'm very happy that you'll be helping to lead the discussion next week. And I'll also send you these 3 presenters' action plans. They're finished action plans. They're assessments. So you can get an idea of what they're talking about next week to help kind of facilitate the question. So there's Petros, Seklekele, and Leoncia, who I'll connect you with online so that you can be in touch with them. It might help you to prepare a bit. And one more note, I want to talk about certificates for just one moment. I know the time is going fast. Colleagues, I've mentioned certificates a few times. So if I could just share my screen for just a moment, I'll show you. I will show you the resource pack online and the course requirements in order to get a certificate. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Hope it's big enough. Okay, let me just try to make it bigger.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the resource pack. It's full of a lot of things, but we're going to this point, action plans by participants. So earlier this year, we announced that if you submitted an action plan, a plan for how you were going to take a gender responsive action in your departments, if you did that, you will be eligible to receive a certificate of participation. So that's the people here who have submitted these action plans. If you did not submit an action plan, you still can before the end of the year. That's okay. So if you submitted an action plan, this again is it's a plan. It's not completed action. It's a plan for action. This is what it looks like. You were mentioning how you are going to do something this year, and you planned out ahead of time how you're going to do that on this form. If you submitted this to us this year, you'll be getting a certificate of participation for having taken part in the workshops that began last November and then completing this homework assignment. However, if you went through the entire course and you also submitted, you did an action, you did some action, and then you reported on the action, you will get a certificate of course completion. That means that you have completed the requirements of the first round of this community of practice. So it's a little different. That's a step above submitting your action plan. So in this folder here, we have the self-assessments. If you have submitted a document showing that you have done your action, not just planned it, but done your action, then you'll be getting a certificate from us that says certificate of course completion. Okay, and so far I have noted 6 people who have done that. They've submitted the worksheet that is a self-assessment. It's like it's different types of assessment. One of them is the highest level is that you assess yourself. So you have, this is what it looks like. If you have not filled this out, but you need to fill this out because you've done some action this year, no matter how big or small, I will email this form to you, or you can get it yourself from our resource pack. It's all there. And you can submit this to us before the end of the year to get a certificate of course completion. Again, this is a little step beyond the action plan. So if you did the action plan, you can get a certificate of participation. But if you did this, if you did your action and you reflected on your action by filling out this sheet, then you can get a certificate of completion. Okay, I want to make that distinction so that there's no confusion about what you're getting or maybe not getting. And if you did not submit an action plan that says how you're going to use the lessons from the workshops, then you won't get a certificate because that was part of the course requirements from the beginning. So if you'd like a certificate, you can, I think hopefully it's clear now. You need to go to this folder that says action plans and fill out the blank template here. And once you do your action, you can go to this folder and fill out the template for the action reporting form to report on what your action was. I hope that's very, very clear. And if I need to explain it again, I'm happy to. But that's the difference between the certificates that you'll be getting. So that's it from my side. Any questions about the certificates before I wrap this up? Any questions about that? Feel free to come in.
Also presented the course, the material, the expected materials. In case not this day.
Sorry, Petros, I can't hear you. Could you speak up a little bit? Sorry. Petros?
In case our assignments are not reaching there, if you can name who submitted and who's not.
Okay, so in the final self-assessments, I have Seklikale, I have Leoncia, I have you, Petros, I have Makube, and we have Angela and Ann Gachoya. Those are the 6 self-assessments that I received via email. And I don't think I've missed anybody because I've looked back at my emails, but if you think that I've missed you, if you filled out not the action plan, but the self-assessment report on your action, your completed action, then if I haven't mentioned it, please email it to me. It looks like this one, but I have yours, Petros, and you'll be talking about your results next week. Okay? Colleagues, any more questions about this? Yes, Petros, we have yours. Don't worry. Keba, is your question about the certificates?
Anyway, I think it's clear. I think I submitted a work plan if I can remember, but I'll try to see. And if it is not there, we've also completed some work. Maybe we did not report on them, but we'll try to make sure we do the needful. Thank you.
Yes, Keba, I think I don't have it from you yet. So if you want to report on an action that you have taken, no matter how big or small, just use this form to do that. This is not a test. It's not like a test of how much you were able to accomplish. It's not. It's just simply documenting what you did or didn't do, but wanted to do this year and how far you got. It's like just a self-reflection. So you can fill this out and then give it to us if you want to get that certificate. I didn't get one from you for that. And I'm checking to see if I got a plan from you. I'm not sure if I got a plan. I'm looking at the folder. I don't see an action plan. So you're welcome to skip the action plan and just go right to the self-assessment. Let me share the link in the chat box for that. Okay, colleagues, I think, yeah, I'm going to send it on the WhatsApp group. Yes, I got a question from Janet. Okay, colleagues, I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for taking a little longer today. There's a lot of things happening in the chat box here, a lot of comments and questions coming up. I think it'd be good if I were to maybe copy paste some of them and share them into the WhatsApp group, because some of them are really good comments about what you've done. But this is it. This is the end of today's meeting, and please join us next Wednesday for another meeting of this community. And remember that you are champions, you are advocates. It starts with each of us in the way that we speak, the way that we ask each other questions, the way that we mention any inequities that we see in our daily lives. If we, for example, see all men or all women, we might want to ask, like, is everyone being represented here? Or if we see all able-bodied people, but nobody who has an experience with a disability, we might want to say that are we including all the right people and voices here? Are we doing the best to make sure that we are being equitable, equal, inclusive? So it starts with you, it starts with each one of us. Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll see you next week. Hopefully you can all join. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.